Já, við erum hérna mættir í Amager sem eru auðvitað skrítið.
Amager, við erum á Amager.
Já, við erum bara á Amager á Vínskapur sem í sjálfur sér svolítið skrítið, eða ekki?
Jú, en við erum hérna að fara að hitta Christopher, vinn okkar.
Já.
Og
það er löggan.
Og já, fuck. Og hann sagðist opnaði þennan stað á baku okkur, Josephine, kaffi Josephine, árið 2022 og hann hefur svo sannarlega verið Amager búum góður, því að það er ekki til annar góður náttúruvínsbar á Amager.
Þetta víst, þið sjáu það hérna eftir smá. Hvað er að gerast hérna? Þetta var hérna Black Bodega hér áður og hérna voru glæpir og alls konar vitleysi í gangi en þetta er aðeins búið að breytast, segir hann. En
ég segi bara að við förum inn og hittum manninn.
Gerum það, já, við vorum ekki búnir að Are we recording?
We're recording.
Okay.
Christopher.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here with you and in your bar, Josephine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice looking bar.
Thanks.
And
happy you like it?
Yeah, it has a retro feel, and we love retro stuff.
Yeah. This place is on Amager in Copenhagen, which is like pretty interesting because this is probably the first wine bar in the area, right?
Yeah, it's there's some other wine bars. There's like the Argentinian wine bar up the street.
Yeah, okay.
Have you been there?
I have not.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's funny. We used to have an employee that used to work there. So I think in Amager, people don't care so much if it's the one or the other, and I think a lot of people walking in here don't know that we have a lot of natural wine necessarily.
Yeah.
I just think we are a local place.
Yeah, they just come in here for a beer or something.
Come in for the atmosphere and they stay for the wine.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what are we drinking here?
So I just serve you guys a little glass of some Beaujolais.
Ooh, nice.
And I think Beaujolais is always nice to drink when we're talking about natural wine because that's the area where it really started in modern times.
It's the mecca of the...
Yeah, there's a lot of great producers there, and I think now today the trend is kind of like gone past Beaujolais. So sometimes I like to do the opposite than the trend. So
Go back.
Go back a bit.
Swim against the stream, like we call it in Iceland.
Yeah, something like that. And this is one of my favorite producers and one of the nicest people I've ever met. Yvir making the wine together with his wife Adeline now. And we are up on a hillside, 500 meters height, like the wine. This one is Libre from him. So it's the lower part of the vineyard, but we're still 450 meters height, like really high up.
Yeah.
And inside a valley, it has no AOC, nothing whatsoever, but he has a really good touch on what he does. Works everything by horse, and is really original in his way. So.
Nice.
When did you
cheers.
Start? Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Very nice. Very smooth.
Yeah.
I think it has like a bright, crunchy fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like cherry, maybe.
Yeah, it's really nice balance between the ripeness and the acidity, I think.
It's very nice.
Really like flower taste.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the game?
So, just serving a glass here for Axel. There you go. So, I started in the wine industry back in 2006, and I was introduced to natural wine in 2008 about that. And yeah, I guess that's where it kind of started for me with this journey. But I started my own company in 2011, the import. So
Import here to Copenhagen, right?
yeah, to Copenhagen, but to selling to Denmark in general.
Yeah, of course.
Then you have been with your left foot in Iceland also, right?
Yeah, so because of my wife, she's Icelandic, I started like spending some time in Iceland. I was like I think in 2012 it was, I was 2 months over the summer in Iceland. And then later on in 2014 I actually lived in Iceland for half a year.
Were you studying?
Yeah, I was studying food science at what was it called? Matis. Out close to Graafvogur.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I was like doing internship at Biobu.
Biobu, yeah. The milk and yogurt. And
Exactly, organic stuff. So I was trying to do a drink with the misa.
Mesa.
It's not good.
No, but I was just like, I like the idea of using a waste product to creating something tasty. And the misa is just like put down the drain there. So that was the project I was trying to do. But I was also like doing some courses, and it was great, having a good time.
It's maybe a good start to, like, because you need to know the process of making wine.
Yes.
So you know all the from your studies.
Yeah.
Like how everything works in the food and beverage industries.
Definitely, yeah. I think sometimes I say like I learned a lot to know what not to do.
Yeah.
Because mostly what you learn in the studies, it's I know a lot of Icelanders who have been at DTU as well. And, it's all very technical, and I also did some courses there. And I especially remember one session with a professor where he was asking out in the audience about food quality. And I raised my hand and I said, taste. And he said, no, you're wrong. He was talking about two things in food quality that is important. One is food safety. And I mean, with wine, when we're talking food safety, it's like, it's an alcoholic product. Everything is safe, basically. So we don't really discuss that with wine. But the other thing was consistency. And consistency in wine, I think that's one of the most boring things ever, because having a wine taste the same year after year after year, it's a designed product in the end. So and natural wine is exactly the opposite. So I learned a lot what not to do in my studies, but it's very nice to be able to have the discussions, let's say, about spontaneous fermentation, etc., like this, and actually to have a scientific reason for doing it. But getting back to Iceland, like what I experienced there was that there was not a lot of interesting wine to drink.
No.
So I started out this company at the time with a guy called Axel Ove Skjødt. Founded Berjamós, the wine import.
Exactly.
Trying to distribute some natural wines in Iceland, which was a bit uphill, to be honest, and still is. I know from now I'm out of it, but my former partner Dori is taking it on, and is now the scene is a lot bigger than it was at the time, but it's still kind of like these kind of restaurants trying to do everything, like being a brunch place and having dinners and like a bit of always a fish dish, but also doing a menu. And
that's a great point. Really good.
So in the wine they also like, natural wine doesn't really like kind of fit in. We're here. I think there's a bigger market, so there's more opportunity to make like places that can say, okay, this is our focus on the wine side. We don't care if a tourist comes in and don't want the specific wine, it's like they find somewhere else to eat, and we get the people who actually want it. But the scene in Iceland is a bit, as I see it, maybe a bit too small, but it's growing, and I think it's so nice to see that more people have taken it up and that the scene is growing as it is, and so many great people are like putting a lot of love into it and interest, and like
getting
you guys
more casual.
What you guys are doing is also, I think, like heightening the kind of interest and the
How did you get to know Dori?
Yeah, so we after Axel decided to leave the company at some point, so I was alone, which is difficult when you live in Copenhagen. And so I was looking for another partner, and actually Jørgen Ragnarsson was a partner for some time. The actor.
Jørgen Ragnarsson.
Yeah, you know Jørgen.
Yeah, he plays Daniel in Næturvaktin.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was what he was known for most. Now I think actually his acting career has taken off quite a lot.
Was he involved in the wine?
He was distributing at some point for Berjamós.
Wow.
And also a woman called Edda.
The actor?
No, she's actually, she has a different background, but now she's known for other stuff. But
we have to get Daniel in the show.
I don't think he likes to be called Daniel.
Anyway, Jørgen, he was he really loves wine, but he was also not. He was too busy with his acting, etc. So it was actually the connection to Dori. Yeah. And the first time I met Dori was in Vesterberg Sundhøj, where he was. I remember during our first meeting, it was in the Heitepotus, and he was standing up all the time like this in the middle. So Christopher, I really want to do this. All right. So I really like to have a meeting in the Heitepotus, like a serious meeting.
We interviewed Dori the other day. Yeah. Did you tell him that we asked you, or because he recommended we should talk to you?
Yeah, that's nice of him. I saw him over Christmas, New Year's. So nice. Oh, he's so great, and like partnering up with Dori was the best possible kind of thing that could happen to Berjamós, because he has so much love for the product, and he's really he's a good spokesman.
Really
promoter of it. So that has been amazing journey. And like for me now, I was also doing a cider project on the side called Æblerå. And I just I really needed to focus a bit on the import, and also Vandetable, our shop, and then later on the bar that we have opened here. It was like, I really appreciate that you guys coming in here and saying it's all cozy and nice, and it looks like something special, because we put a lot of love and time into it. It took us 8 months from taking over the lease to actually opening.
Oh, damn.
And we took everything out. It was crazy. It was we have this kind of romantic idea of brown bodegas in Copenhagen and Denmark in general, but this was not a brown bodega. It was a black bodega. It's really hardcore place where you would have police every weekend, pure fighting and
smoking in the walls.
Smoking. There was a lot of drugs here, and so it was really a hardcore place. And there was also some gangs coming here and stuff. So
when I moved to Denmark, I thought it was such a romantic idea that you could go to a bodega and smoke inside. And I'm not even a smoker, but the idea sounded so good. But then I went to a bodega and got a cigarette at the bar and lighted up, and I just started being dizzy after 2 smokes, and then I was looking around, and I think there was 2 persons that was missing 1 arm, and it was not the romantic idea. I thought it was walking into a local bodega in Iceland. No, in Denmark.
In Denmark, there are some really nice bodegas here.
Yeah,
but this was not one of them. No. I think actually it was because it was called. It used to be because it was called Café Josephine before, and there was kind of a thing from the 70s that when you opened up a bar, the smart thing was to call it a cafe. You would have a bit more food. So there's actually a few of these in Copenhagen, like Café Victor. It's a very posh place. There's Café Sommersko. There's also still going strong, quite popular. So all these cafe places, it's not actually what you would think about cafes today, like coffee places, but more like a place where you could drink and have something to eat. Yeah. And this was this kind of place, and they wanted to bring some French vibes to Amager at the time, which is crazy to think about, because 50 years ago, and Amager today is evolving a lot, but at that time Amager was even more remote from the rest of Copenhagen. So there was I think it must have been interesting to be here from the beginning. But when we took over, it was weird, and we had to do a lot here. But I'm very happy with the outcome, and we are still trying. You know, we kept the name Josephine, and we're still trying to be a local place. And there hasn't been a lot of these places in Amager before. I remember at the opening, somebody came to me and said, like, coming here and seeing like other people from the area also coming here. It's like after the war when people come out of the bushes, out of the forest, like, and you think like, oh my God, they were here the whole time. I just lived next to them, but I never met them. And now people have a place where they can meet over a great glass of wine. So.
Is it mostly locals here, or is this like a hyped place? Has someone posted it on TikTok and it has blown up or something, and people are coming all over Copenhagen to have a wine here, or?
It's a good question. Like, I don't really ask people where they come from when they come here, but we are like it's the locals who are our base clients, and then that people want to travel from Vesterbro or Nørrebro or wherever in town that is, let's say, the more hipper quarters. I live in Nørrebro myself, and before. I was telling you guys before we started recording about like the whole thing, starting to deliver wine to Amager, to private people. Like before that, I didn't know Amager. So Amager has grown on me, and I understand that I have a lot of friends in those areas of Copenhagen that say like, Amager, but that's so far away. It's always the answer I get. So I have good friends who haven't come here yet after 1.5 years of running the place.
That's unreal.
It's a bit weird, but at the same time, I think I would be the same. Because it is Amager is kind of a remote, and it's a long story why it is that, but it didn't used to be a part of Copenhagen. That's the short story. So it has really its own like local identity. But I really love that. I love that it's the locals that are our primary guests. So it means that also we're not like just kind of a thing that will pass and then it will be somebody else. We are the local place, and we're not really. We don't try to make it a hype place or anything. We just want to make a great place.
Have you gotten any like famous people here, like Dua Lipa? She loves nature wines in Copenhagen.
Yeah, she hasn't posted from Josephine.
Clovis will arrive tomorrow.
Yeah, Clovis is coming here tomorrow.
And that's probably one of the most famous face of the natural wine industry.
Definitely.
So how do you know him?
Yes, for many years in the business.
Yeah.
I met him first time in 2014. Actually driving with him and my Swedish friend Emil from Paris to Auvergne for a wine tasting, and we were staying at his place the night before, and we had a lot to drink. We went to this amazing place that still exists in Paris called Bareigandinn in the evening. Went to his place after, had something to drink, and then like early in the morning we had to leave.
Yeah.
And I remember it very clearly because I was the only one with driver's license, and of course we were a bit hungover, even though it was natural wine, and he was smoking ganja the whole time in the car, and I just got so dizzy from it that I was like, okay, you really have to smoke ganja outside of the car because it's too much. So,
Were you going to the what's it called that you were going now in February? Latif.
No, it was during the summer, so it was another wine salon, a very small one in the middle of nowhere in Auvergne.
But it's really funny how like these relationships can evolve just by drinking some natural wine.
Definitely.
Together.
Yeah.
Something beautiful about it.
Yeah.
At the time, Clovis was a distributor of wine in Paris. So he had been working with Frank Cornelissen in Sicily for some time, and Frank asked him to be his distributor in Paris. So he was like buying wine from several guys and distributing in Paris. And then later on, the whole Action Bronson thing happened, and so he's not really doing that anymore. But he's still very close with the wines, and let's say also one of the great promoters and communicators of natural wine, definitely.
Yeah, we are going to try to be like Clovis and Action Bronson this summer. We are going to visit all of the places and
Okay, in which way?
I don't know.
No.
So you're gonna make some documentary about stuff?
No,
Yeah.
we're just
Or
gonna keep on visiting some good
Yeah.
natural wine bars like Josephine.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
usually we're in the Japanese stova of Addi,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
drinking wine and
Yeah,
recording. But
alright.
it's nice to go out and
Yeah, because we are trying to get the people to go to the bars
Yeah.
because it's really nice to just go with your friends and buy a bottle.
Yeah.
So if we maybe ask you about your wines, how are your wines? How do you buy the wines compared to other natural wine bodegas in Örebro? And do you buy it from Rosvoll and Rosvoll mostly, or do you import it yourself?
It's been important for me. Like, so I started. My import is called Melin, and it's what I started back in 2011. So we are distributing about 110 to 120 producers. And when we started Van der Table, our wine shop in Nordvest, like basically the opposite side of town, back in 2016, it was very important for me that we didn't make a wine shop just with our own wines. I mean, I used to work in 2008 and 2009 for Rosvoll and Rosvoll. So I know the producers very well, and I have a lot of like also personal connections to some of the growers. And there are a lot of other great importers in Copenhagen, and a lot of great wine producers that are distributed by these importers. So we wanted to make the best selection of Denmark, of natural wine, and it's the same idea here in Josephine that we want to have the greatest selection. So we are working with 20 to 30 other importers than ourselves. And I would say Melin is the main provider of wines by the glass. It's about half of what we have by the glass. We're changing that like every week.
Yeah.
But in general, if you look at our list, we have so much different stuff.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, actually, do you have the cellar?
Cellar
Can
list.
show how thick it is.
Yeah.
So like this wine, you have it by the glass this week.
Yeah, this by the glass this week, but it will be something else from Thursday on.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah.
What are you selling on the glass? Red or white? Is it?
Price-wise?
Yeah, price-wise.
Yeah, so we're starting at 60 kroner for a glass.
Yeah.
And the glass is not like what we have left now. It's a real glass. And
A really good price.
yeah, it's very important to me that the wine is in eye height, like price-wise and style-wise with our guests. And when you meet wine producers, they are like us. They're just like young people who are having fun and trying to make a living from what they love. Very few are doing it for some kind because they think there's some economy involved in it. Like at least it's not who we work with.
Yeah.
So a lot of the wines, for example, I think a very good example is the wines from Shiraz that you probably also very familiar with. A lot of the guys there, they live, basically just from day to day. They don't travel a lot because they can't afford it, and then they sell their wine, and later on they can see their wine sold for 100 times the price they sold it for.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, they don't really see themselves or see their wines being sold for that price, So we are trying to sell them for a decent price.
Yeah.
And make it accessible and affordable to come here, so that everybody feels that they can afford a glass of wine. There's a tendency in town and Copenhagen, but also in general, that the wines by the glass, they have just it's just getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
Like when I've been working a lot in the restaurant industry on the side as well, also doing my distribution. And I remember there was kind of like a magical 100 Danish kroner mark on wine by the glass. Like you couldn't impossibly sell a wine for more than 100 kroner for a glass.
Yeah.
And that's like until 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And then something changed. Today I go to wine bars and I see glass wines going for like 150 or whatever.
That's ridiculous.
And I mean, I think it's great in the sense that you can serve an amazing wine by the glass.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have friends who say like, okay, but we don't really can afford to drink wine because it's so expensive. And I try to explain to them it doesn't need to be. You can have something decent, something nice for a lower price. And then I also try to teach people, if you really want great wine for the money, you buy a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So, and a lot of people go by the glass option, which is also, I mean, it's fine with me, but I really try to push people into going for a bottle.
Yeah.
Because doing like more than one glass of the same and leaving the bottle a bit, letting the wine get a bit of air, maybe a bit of temperature, it's also gonna change your perception of it.
You get to know the wine much better by drinking all the bottle.
I think so.
Yeah, they were talking about it. The nature wine farmers, they exactly like you say, young and just doing it for the passion. Many of them are pretty crazy, right? Like pretty, loose.
Yeah, or maybe it's the rest of us who are crazy.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
There's there's so many great people out there.
Yeah.
And
like they're artists, more artists like...
yeah, it's a crazy thing to do, it's like something that... Of course, I think everybody who are in love with wine dream about someday maybe making your own wine. But if you think about it, and when you're working closely with these guys, the things they have to go through to actually produce a wine like this, like first of all, like nature, and is not easy to work with. Nature often works against you.
Yeah.
So if you want to grow things organically, or even go further than that and not use the sprays that are usually used in organic viticulture, then you're putting a lot at risk. And I see people losing like 50, 90% of a vintage.
Yeah, imagine that.
Because of frost or whatsoever, a lot of rain and disease and things like this. And then afterwards, like the small amount that you actually are able to harvest, you take it into your cellar and you decide not to add anything to correct it or to steer it in the right direction. I mean, it's kind of wild to think about it. And then we come as buyers or importers and we taste the wine, and we for sure know that this tank is tasting great, but the other 3 tanks are not tasting so good. I mean, it must be devastating for a grower, So I don't envy them. I think they're very courageous, and I love hanging out with them, spending time, getting to know the wines better. I don't necessarily envy them, but I think they're great for what they do. Yeah.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. And I think we have to acknowledge that drinking the wine, also that, okay, people actually fought hard to make these drops in this wine. A lot of people, and that's something that is actually making me a bit upset. Sometimes, like, you taste wine also with people from the industry, and we taste it and we say like, it's a bit volatile. Okay, then we let's go to the next bottle. It's kind of like, okay, but let's try to stay with it a bit. Let's try actually to acknowledge what has been made here. Yeah, like it's thousands, millions of yeast cells died for making this bottle. And somebody spent a whole year of their life producing this wine. So let's just try to stay with it a bit and give it the time it actually deserves. So
that's what I find really fun about the natural wines. If you are like giving us a wine, you don't usually go straight to the grape or like, is it red or white? It's like you talk about the wine producer, the winemaker itself.
That's true.
The wine is, of course, a reflection of the winemaker.
Yeah.
And those crazy people who make it.
Definitely.
So.
And I think it also, I often use like art to describe wine, because I think it's the closest thing to it. Yet wine is a different product because we actually consume it. So I think that is quite different from that. But I think the producer or the artist in that sense is a very important part of the story, and it's just like people and their dogs. You know how a dog owner starts to look like the dog. I think it's a bit the same with wine producers. You understand the wine better by knowing the person who created it, because it is a reflection, but there's something more to it, and I think it's hard to put exactly needle on where's the connection between the person.
Like an aura or something.
Is it energies? What is it? But when you start to know people producing the wines and you taste the wines, you just feel the person connected to the juice, and I don't need the scientific explanation for it. I just know it's there. Yeah. And it's the same with soil and terroir. Actually, there's no scientific explanation of terroir in the wine that you can say, because you have schist or slate in the soil, it tastes like slate in the wine. Yeah. It doesn't. You don't find chalk in a wine that is grown on chalky soil. And I don't care. I just know there's a connection. Tasting the wine and knowing the soil. So it's the same with the wine producer.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could talk about how it's made and everything behind natural wines for many days.
Yeah.
But now it's a Monday.
Yeah. It is.
What are you expecting? Are you expecting many people to come in
the
this
bar?
Afternoon? Yeah.
No. Yet we are busy every day, actually.
Do you have any special offers for Mondays or Tuesdays?
No, I hate special offers.
Yeah.
Every day is special offer with 60 kroners by the glass.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
I don't like special offers because I think it makes people kind of not focus on the right things. It's like, this is cheap, let's go for this, but like an offer thing. So
should be a value thing rather.
Yeah, it's just I like it more organically. We have this very famous Danish chef, and it's about a lot of Danish people are also buying things on discount in the supermarket, and he says okay, going to the supermarket and you see a bucket of shit, and it's like, it's 50% off. Let me take 2 of these. It's a very Danish mentality to go for the discount stuff, and I just it makes me sick, and I think it's a kind of a disease for the whole industry when people start to go down the discount lane or special offers. It loses its sense because we're not selling anything expensive. It's all actually cheap, like you say. So what do we do for these days off? I think Monday is kind of an industry night. A lot of people from the restaurant industry are off on Monday, so sometimes we have big groups of restaurants coming in to the bar, and they,
wine tastings and more
sometimes
those kind of things.
Yeah, they do their own wine tastings among them, but they like to dig deep in our cellar list and those kind of more special bottles. And in the end, sometimes on Monday it can be a Friday revenue actually. So you never really know. But I don't have. We close at 10 o'clock, so it's not late, and it's more we open 7 days a week, and that has been a choice from the beginning because I know it's much harder to open up days than it is to close them. So we started out being open 7 days a week, and then we had 7 busy days. Yeah. So we were okay, actually, we don't need to, or we shouldn't close any of the days. And people know when they come to Josephine, whatever day of the week it is, they know we're open.
So many of the bars or cafes are Mondays and Tuesdays off, right?
Yeah, either Sunday, Monday, or Monday, Tuesday. So, we're also one of the few places that are open, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. What is the grape in the wine?
It's Gamay.
Gamay.
Yeah. So Beaujolais is always Gamay.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's this amazing grape variety that is it's giving you some great juice. It can tickle you the right places. It's never gonna be a wine that, let's say, you will keep for 20 years in the cellar and open. At least I haven't tried anything that can do this, but it can actually handle some age, and it can have a lot of complexity. In French they have this expression sapinot. It means it tastes like Pinot Noir, and I really think Gamay can have the same qualities as Pinot Noir, yet being something different, but having the kind of a little truffle, a little strawberry. It's kind of light fruit, and it's delicate, acidic, and then like there are many interpretations of Gamay and also of Beaujolais in general. Like this guy is a bit more slightly old school, I would say, because he doesn't do like whole grape fermentation. So this is like macération carbonique, as it's called. This like slightly crossed during the process. No CO2 added on top. It's getting a bit technical here, but it gives a very different expression if you do a complete environment for the fermentation without any oxygen, or you leave some oxygen and let the fermentation do the oxygen-free environment. And he's more old school. He also presses like in a super old basket press, you know, by hand, like a cliquet, they call it.
Not by his feet.
Well, there's also some foot stomping involved, but the actual pressing is never done by feet. It's always done
it's a first or
So it's more for a bit of so there is a tiny bit of skin contact here, but I think it's a great vintage from the guys. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. He used to be a nurse.
Sorry?
He used to be a nurse, this guy.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fell in love with the wine, but he's very like empathic. You said that, like very like loving kind of. When you're talking with him, it's like he's there.
He just wants to nurse you. Like
yeah, definitely. And I think he treats his vineyard the same way. He nurses each plant.
Yeah.
So
imagine being a nurse and then go totally different way.
Yeah.
And go to the wines.
Was a big leap for him.
Yeah.
And a lot of like throwing yourself out on the big ocean, you know, like really trying something completely new in life. So I followed him from the very beginning. I have this crazy story of first time I was to visit him was back in 2014 also, and I had made a very stupid plan, so I had to fly to Geneva and then drive the car from there. And when I arrived and taken the car, it all took so long. And when I was supposed to take the car, I had booked like 1 month wrong, so I had to make a new kind of booking, and everything took too long. So going into the car was just like, I put the address in fast, and his address is Laval. It's part of the address, so I saw Laval in the GPS, I just punched it and I started driving. And it was supposed to take, I think, like 3 hours. And I was just like so obsessed of going fast there that I didn't really look on the signs or anything. So after 3 hours, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be here, but it doesn't look like Beaujolais at all. And like really starting to look at the map, and it was like I was in the middle of Savoie. So, and this was like 7 in the evening, you know, and it's very, I always feel bad about coming, you know, at dinner time to people, especially for the first time, you know, so I was I was calling him and I'm like, shit, Abby, I'm really sorry, like on my best French imaginable. I'm really sorry, I'm in Savoie, I'm not in Beaujolais, I put in the wrong thing, you know, and the GPS says another 3 hours to get to you. And he was just like, don't worry, just come, you know. So I came to his place like 10 o'clock at night for the first time to taste the wines, and he was just so nice and easy. and he brought his friends, Jean-François Cuissin, another guy, the local postman who started making wine, and tested his wine as well. And Jean-François took me to another place with some other young wine people in the middle of the night, you know, testing their wine. So Denis Baldin, a crazy guy that we saw later that night, he now moved to Scotland, making wine in a greenhouse. That's another story, but it was just like, that night was just like, wow, okay, it was being so nice about me showing up in the middle of the night to taste wine. Yeah. And since then we have a long friendship. Yeah. 10 years later.
Many friendships through the wine.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Everything good, Sheil?
Yes.
How's the time?
For 35-40 minutes.
Yeah, so
good.
Usually we finish a couple of bottles and
sure.
And no, usually in our episodes we are trying to make them like not as long as they have been.
Yeah, okay.
Because
sure.
usually Sheil is like, you have been speaking for 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, so
okay. Sure.
So we, like I told you, there are many Icelandic people who lives in Amager.
Yeah.
And hopefully after we release this episode,
cool.
The place will be filled with Icelandic.
Nice. We do have some Icelandic guys coming here from time to time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and
good.
actually, also a fun story about like how Josephine became Josephine, like regarding the interior and stuff. Because we took over. It was like we heard about the place in mid-December. And we took over from the 1st of January, so everything went super fast because it was a bankruptcy of the old place. And then we had to find out what to do in here, you know. And as I said, it was like terrible looking place. Like we had the ceiling. You can see in the windows, actually in the window frame, like where the wall is straight, and then you have like more kind of tile-ish.
That's lower.
That's where the ceiling went before. So we had to take the ceiling down the whole place, and there was like carpet on the floor everywhere from wall to wall. So there was a lot to do, and during that process I was starting like to create the idea about what is Josephine actually gonna be like, kind of a place. And I spoke to another good Icelandic friend of mine called Jónatli, Sexy Laser, is his DJ name. Also a hairdresser, great guy.
Jónatli.
Yeah, comes there.
He lives in Nørrebro, also close to me. And we were talking about like what is kind of the perfect place, and the funny thing is that you go out to eat and you might go to a wine bar and so, but you always end up in a bodega in Copenhagen. What is dragging you to those bodegas? It's not the drinks, you know. It's not because you really are eager to drink a King's beer or like a bad shot of vodka or whatever, you know. That's not it. It's the atmosphere. And in the atmosphere, he had this description of a bodega is somewhere where you forget about time and place. And I really took that with me. That it's actually true that when you go into a place like this, you don't really care about where you are. You're just in that place.
Yeah, exactly. You're just enjoying.
Exactly. So I also like a note about coming into Josephine is like being somewhere else, because in the same time it's like nowhere, because you're in Josephine. Yeah. You might be in Amager, but you're actually in Josephine. And it's that's why we have also the small curtains and stuff in the windows. And we put like the wooden things to make kind of like cozy and dragging everything down. Like putting up a dark ceiling is also something that I didn't have thoughts about before, but it kind of like, if you go into bodegas, you often see actually dark ceilings. And I didn't notice it before, but it's like in a theater, it's made you not to look too much at the ceiling, but to look like more over the table, more like being right here. And I mean, Josephine is a very local place, but it's also a place that I want to create an atmosphere, kind of like a cultural house, almost for the locals. So like doing a lot of events, different styles. Each Sunday we have a DJ coming, playing records, just like cozy, easygoing, and you can come for a coffee or like a big bottle of wine. You know, it's like different needs.
I mean, it's not even that far. like I feel like we've been talking about how far this place is from everything, but it's like what 3 stops from Norrport
Exactly.
or 3 stops from Kongsins Nytorv or
Exactly.
yes, and it took like 3 minutes to walk from the
Metro.
Amager bro and here, so
Yeah,
there's no problem coming here.
definitely. Yeah.
There's no distance.
So we won last year. We won like star wine lists of the year for newcomers, or all new places, wine lists being reviewed. So really have like a hardcore wine list for the nerds,
Yeah.
but we also accommodate like people coming for a beer or like and a shot, whatever, you know. So we're trying like to grasp it all, and I think it's kind of I think we kind of hit it right.
So you have a cellar downstairs where you keep the bombs.
Yeah, we have a huge cellar actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah. So if you want to drink some wine with age or whatever, do a vertical tasting of Jean-Yves Perron or something, we can accommodate that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But Christopher, I think we're gonna let you open up the bar because you're trying to make the episode shorter. Do you like maybe just the final question, Bergur?
What was that?
No.
Oh yeah, it's
his name
Bergur
is
Leo.
Bergur Leo.
I just always say Leo.
I feel like I just know like 10 Bergurs. So many Bergur.
Oh, never met one.
But
Like it.
what do you think? Like, do you think Iceland will become someday like one of the maybe Copenhagen or Paris, natural wine-wise? Do you think the culture will eventually come to Iceland because you know the country and Reykjavík pretty decently?
To be honest, no, I don't think so. But Copenhagen is also not Paris,
Yeah, exactly.
and I think each place needs to have its own kind of culture about things.
Yeah.
And the whole sea, like the amount of inhabitants is not big enough to make it into such a big scene.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact. I mean, the tourism is there for sure, but tourists are also a bit like
Kill the culture.
I mean, I don't know. It can be many things, right? And there's also a lot of wine-interested tourists, but there's also a lot of tourists. Mainly the tourism in Iceland is not for gastronomy or for wine especially. It's for the nature. So I think so I don't see that, but I do see that the culture will mature and that the general public will have a better understanding of what wine is, and I think that's an important thing to also discuss, and that can be for another episode. But like how I experience Icelandic wine culture is also that there is a bit of a gap. I think it comes maybe back to the whole kind of wine being forbidden back, was it until 89 or something?
Yeah, 89.
So wine has not been incorporated in the culture for so many years, and like at least when I talk to my parents-in-law or somebody, I think they need to learn about wine to understand natural wine, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
So there's a big job to be done, but I think it can happen. I think it will happen.
Yeah.
It's going to take some years, but then I will say that I really hope that there'll be more courageous restaurants and bars who are really like focusing on this. You know, great places like Tio Sopa is there and stuff, but I think like the industry need to, and Dill is doing an amazing job for the whole food pairing thing, with which natural wine is so amazing for. But we need more curious, courageous restaurateurs out there who want to not just do people with the hair, but is also there to give people an experience they will remember.
I think we'll need to encourage Ölgerðin and all these big monopoly to be more open about natural wines also, because they own all the restaurants, own all the wine menus from the restaurants.
There's too much kind of hands tied regarding the choice of wine in Iceland in the restaurant because of that, of those big players, for sure. But, you know, just what I've seen the last 5 years in Iceland, if that continues, you know, anything can happen. And I know for a fact that Iceland is amazing in that way that, like, sometimes the unthinkable will happen, you know, like
a volcano.
A volcano. Some of the greatest musicians on earth coming out of like nowhere. So it's really, I think the restaurant, food, drink scene has evolved a lot, and I really hope to see it keep evolving.
Yeah. So do us.
So do we, and that's our mission, Adi. That's our mission.
Yeah.
So Christopher, thank you very much for having us here.
Thanks for coming.
It was a real pleasure.
Cool.
Yeah. We will be here tomorrow when Clovis arrives, of course.
Yeah.
Be in the corner and watching.
Amazing.
But yeah, Christopher, thank you very much, and we can recommend Josephine to
100%.
every listener
Cool.
of this episode.
Nice.
Which I think are around 20 now. Oh. But yeah, thanks again, Christopher. And,
Cheers.
and thank you for the wine.
Yeah, you're welcome.